Do you want to have the ultimate control over your life? Welcome to Take Control with Whitney Wells, where we will explore all topics of life that we try and control, what this creates for you, and how to have successful relationships all while empowering yourself. Keep listening and let's have some fun. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 51 of Take Control with Whitney Wells. Today is going to be a fun one. So I originally had a different topic planned for today, but I decided to switch it up and do this topic. It was personal to me, and I felt like I wanted to touch on this topic for this week, and hopefully you all enjoy it as well. So we're going to dive right in. We're going to talk about how to deal with the difficult people in your life. Fun, huh? We all have them, right? That person who pushes your buttons, or maybe they don't listen to your words or hear what you're saying, or they behave in ways that you just don't agree with. Or maybe they say things and act in ways you think that they shouldn't, or they should be different in certain ways. You two do not agree at times. Simply put, right? So we're going to talk about how to deal with those quote-unquote difficult people in your life. How to deal with them. Now, maybe you're thinking, why don't I just not have them in my life at all? Why don't I just cut them out of my life, right? Now, many times we jump to this solution and we want to change that circumstance. We want to remove that person or change that thing that will just maybe make our lives easier. That's what we think, right? And to be honest, yes, that's always an option. You always have the option of not having that person in your life. You always have that option. You are an adult. You can do what you want. But I want to offer the possibility of what you can gain if you don't completely cut someone out. What if there are certain people that, one, you may choose to deal with even though they are more difficult for you, such as maybe an ex-partner that you have a child together with, and you choose to interact with that person because for the child, right? For the child's sake. It's a choice that you like, and you like your reasons for it. Or maybe another example of this is maybe a coworker. You're choosing to interact with this quote-unquote difficult coworker, and you like your reasons for it because maybe you're more productive as a team at your job when you're interacting with that person. And maybe your boss has requested this, so you want to keep your job. You like your job, right? Or maybe it's a relative or, a family member at family gatherings. And maybe you generally want to spend some time with some of these people for a certain amount of time, even though they're difficult. You may also love them, right? Now, you may want to lessen the amount of time you see or speak to certain people, but I suggest you do this from a clean place where you like your reasons. You can always change that circumstance if you want to. That's always an option. But in this podcast, we're going to explore not changing your circumstances and what you actually gain when you do have these situations in which you are dealing with these quote-unquote difficult people, and how the quote-unquote difficult people can actually benefit you. When I say difficult, I'm putting quotes around it throughout this whole podcast. I'll just say that now. So I also want to add that I am not referring to any situations that involve abuse of any kind that are a part of that relationship. That is not what I'm referring to in this episode, in this podcast. Now, if that's the case, if there is abuse, I suggest that you speak with a professional. All right. So we all have those certain people in our lives that are more difficult than others to deal with, right? Now, who comes to mind for you? Who do you think of when I ask this question, when I bring this up? When you think of this topic of that difficult person in your life? Or people, right? It could be more than one. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe sometimes it's hard to deal with your spouse. Maybe it's a parent or a child or a neighbor or an old friend or an ex or your partner's ex, your spouse's ex, a sibling, a coworker. I want you to think of this person or people throughout this episode and how all of what we discuss can relate to your situation. Apply it to you. That's how you'll get the most out of this. Now, I want to start off by saying you may notice on this list that I just rattled off, your people that could be difficult, your spouse, your parent, your child, your neighbor, your coworker, your ex, whatever it might be, whoever it might be. Some of those people you may also love the most as well. Sometimes the people we love the most are also tough for us to deal with at times. Your feelings are not mutually exclusive here, right? You can love someone and get frustrated or annoyed or upset at times too. This is important to know. You won't always feel one single emotion towards someone forever, right? You experience a variety of human emotions in your life. And even in any given day for that matter, right? You have a variety of emotions, a range, both positive and negative. It's the human experience. So just know that it doesn't mean that anything has gone wrong if you feel love sometimes and frustrated or upset at other times about someone or towards someone when you're thinking of them. It simply means you're a healthy human. And that's great. So for instance, here's a way that I'm a healthy human. I love my son more than life itself. I cannot even express how much I love him. I believe he is so amazing, so wonderful. And I just really believe that he's such a good kid. But he can be difficult for me to deal with at times. Remember, difficult in quotes. If you are a parent, you may understand what I mean when I talk about this. When things aren't going as smoothly, it could look like me constantly repeating myself, telling him to pick up his stuff, and then I have to pick it up for him, and him not listening to what I say despite how much I repeat myself, him talking back maybe, or doing the opposite of what I ask of him. Typical, normal 6-year-old behavior, right? But yeah, so it sometimes, while I love him, while I think he is so amazing, it also sometimes drives me crazy. And it can be difficult for me to deal with. Even though he's my heart outside my body, right? So your quote-unquote difficult person or people may also be people you are the closest to and love. And they may also just be people you interact with, right? It might not be those close people. Those coworkers, or your ex, for instance, or, your neighbor down the street, or that person that you don't have the same beliefs share the same beliefs with. So it could be someone you're close with, and it could also be someone you just interact with here and there. And you choose to interact with that person because you like your reasons for it, right? As we discussed. Now, either way, keep listening to see how interacting with them can actually benefit you. How having them in your life, in some form, can actually benefit you. Now, let's start dissecting it all, which I love to do, right? We want to really break it down and pick it apart to see how this can work, how it all can benefit you, how it all can be something for you instead of against you. Now, what does it really mean when you think that this person or people are difficult? So when I think about this, I come up with that person who is quote unquote difficult is pushing all my buttons, getting under my skin, so to speak. Now, what does that really mean, right? Well, they are simply behaving in ways that I think they shouldn't, right? You or whoever is difficult for you to deal with, you and this person, right, may have just different opinions about certain things. You handle things in different ways. And these are some of the thoughts that you may have around this person. They shouldn't do that. They shouldn't act that way. They are doing it all wrong. Now yours could be a version of these, right? These come up when you're thinking about that difficult person, possibly. You'll have your own thoughts, of course, but these are some that came up for me. So now that we know what we actually mean when we describe someone as difficult, we have that loose definition of it for ourselves. We have some awareness of this definition of this difficult person. Let's look at what you actually do to yourself when you think they are difficult without being intentional. Okay? We're going to look at how it affects you, what you do to yourself, how this is impacting you when you think that they are difficult. So when you label someone as quote unquote difficult, right, in quotes, it's important to know that them being difficult is simply a thought you have about them. Not everyone in the world will classify them as difficult. So we know it's a thought. It's not fact. But that's okay. That's okay. It's just good to know and be aware of your thoughts so you know what you are creating for yourself. So when I think my child is difficult, I create the feeling of frustration. And I react to this feeling. I may yell at him. I may get louder, not show up with kindness or love or understanding. And as a result, I create a difficult situation. I'm being a difficult person as well. I'm not showing up as the mom or person that I want to be. Now here's the thing. When I focus on these thoughts, I just create negative feelings for myself. I don't get the result I want to by reacting to these feelings, right? I am creating the opposite of what I want. I'm creating more difficulties. Mind blown, right? And guess what? When you get frustrated, upset, or angry, no one else can feel your feelings. This is so important and so powerful to really know. No one can feel your feelings when you're feeling upset, angry, happy, love, sad, any hurt, any feeling. No one can feel your feelings. Now, have you ever heard the quote, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die? It's a little morbid, but it's kind of powerful, right? This reminds me of dealing with difficult people. When you feel angry or upset or frustrated about what they're doing or something that has occurred, they aren't getting affected at all by your feelings or judgment. You just create suffering for yourself. Your feelings are yours to feel, and that's all. So if you're mad, that's yours, and it's coming from you, not from them. That's so important to know because you are the powerful one. You are creating your mad feeling, not them. So yes, they may have said something or done something you don't agree with. But you then have a thought, and your thought creates your mad feeling. And we want to take ownership over this because this empowers you. This gives you the control. This is where you can change if you want to, your feelings, not them. Right? If you're mad, that's yours. If you're happy, that's yours. Your feelings are yours. So they can't feel your feelings. So this is all of what you could be creating for yourself if you aren't intentional when dealing with these quote-unquote difficult people. You could be creating these negative feelings for yourself and then reacting to them if you aren't intentional. When we are just simply reacting and not being deliberate with who we want to be, right? We talked about that a couple episodes ago. Who do you want to be? When we're not being deliberate with that, you may not be showing up how you want to. So now let's dive into some solutions for you so that you can actually be in control. You can be intentional and deliberate so it can benefit you. These difficult people can actually benefit you. So my suggestions on how to handle these quote-unquote difficult people, right? Think of your person or people. The first one is, and kind of encompasses it all, is be thankful for them. You may be saying, what? Absolutely not. Definitely not. I'm not going to be thankful for this difficult person. But don't write it off quite yet. I want you to keep an open mind as I explain what I mean. Because this will be so beneficial if we can put it into practice. The most quote-unquote difficult people in your life are also the ones that give you the biggest opportunity for personal growth. That's why we can thank them. Now, this can be hard to see in the moment. The person who is quote-unquote difficult isn't behaving in ways that you think they should, right? They are acting, saying, not behaving, doing stuff, whatever it might be, that you disagree with, right? When this occurs, or even after the fact, try pausing and just know that you have options. Your thoughts are optional, and you can take control and be the person you want to be no matter how this other person is behaving. Now, first, allow yourself to feel however you are feeling. Feel that anger, feel frustrated, feel upset. You can have any vibration and feel it in your body. You can let yourself feel this vibration throughout your body while breathing into it. And you can allow these feelings without reacting to them. That is a choice. You are in control. Your feelings, your thoughts are not in control. You are in control. So you can breathe into this vibration that's in your body from this feeling, from this thought, right, that you're having. And you can allow yourself to be there. And then instead of focusing on the thoughts of they aren't doing it right, they should behave differently, they are so difficult, right? Thoughts such as those, and creating that frustrated feeling, that anger, that upset feelings that you're creating for yourself, you can choose to create something different for yourself if you want. You always have an option to create compassion and understanding, for instance. Now, I say this for you. I say this for you. It's not giving them anything. Remember, they can't feel this compassion or this understanding. You get to feel it. Just like they can't feel your anger and frustration and hurt or upset feelings, right? You are feeling those, and then you can also choose to feel compassion and understanding. Remember, it's for you. So how? How do we do this? Well, by finding the reasons why they behave how they do. You don't have to ask them. You can just ask yourself. Let your imagination do the work. Why are they doing, saying, acting in these ways, or not doing, saying, and acting in the ways you think they should, right? Finding the reasons why will simply give you a different perspective. It will open yourself up more and see it with humanness, not just I'm right and you are wrong. So why are they behaving in these ways? What could they be feeling that is driving their actions? How are they being a human? Now, I'm not suggesting that you agree with everyone by any means. So this difficult person who may be behaving in certain ways, you don't have to agree with them. You don't have to condone their actions, right? Or what they say or how they behave. You can have and keep your opinions and your values, right? You do not need to change them to feel better. You can disagree, and you can still create compassion and understanding, which both feel so much better than judgment and anger and frustration, right? Now, as I said, I say this for you, not for them. This will benefit you. When you feel compassion and understanding, you may show up with a calm tone, calm words, without arguing and without yelling. You get to experience the benefits of showing up from a peaceful place. That sounds good to me, doesn't it? Now, what have you really created for yourself? When you show up intentionally, right? When you show up from a place that you want to show up from, you're creating those emotions that you want to create for yourself and then reacting how you want to react. Or not, right? You could be just feeling your feelings within you. When you show up intentionally as the person you want to be, in control of your feelings and actions, no matter how the other person shows up, no matter what they are doing or saying, you are being the person that you want to be, intentionally. Right? This is what you are creating for yourself when you're dealing with this difficult person. You haven't simply reacted to your frustration or anger, which is what we often do if we're not being intentional. You allowed it, you allowed those feelings, and then you showed up intentionally. And you are even stronger because there was or is this difficult person in your life, right? You are dealing with this situation. You are showing up intentionally, right? To interact with this quote unquote difficult person, which is making you stronger. This person has given you the opportunity to grow and evolve and become stronger. So you can see it as they aren't the quote-unquote villain that we once may have labeled them as, but in fact, our greatest teacher. So I say thank you. Thank you, difficult person. You have given me the opportunity to grow and evolve and become even stronger. So if you have a difficult person in your life, simply thank them. Probably in your head, not to them. They might be confused. Okay, so let's recap a bit, because that was a lot, right? We talked about how a difficult person is simply someone we do not agree with, right? If we really dissect it and break it down. We talked about labeling someone as difficult and reacting to your thoughts and feelings without intention creates more difficulties. And we talked about how to handle these difficult people. We talked about the solutions, right? So I'm going to go through those. So first, number one, you pause and allow your negative feelings to be within your body without reacting. Number two, decide intentionally not to focus on the thoughts Similar to they are doing it wrong, right? They are difficult. They should do it differently. Something like that. And then number 3, you can create compassion and understanding if you want to by asking yourself, why are they behaving in these ways? What could they be feeling that is driving their actions? How are they being a human? Again, this is number 4. You do not need to agree with them to feel this compassion and understanding. This is important to remember. Keep your values, keep your opinions, but you can still create that compassion and understanding. You can understand why a 6-year-old may be not wanting to pick up his toys, right? He's 6. I get it. I totally understand, right? Well, I'm still feeling that frustration. I can understand. I can feel that compassion towards him. And I can feel that love. I can still focus on these great feelings within me. And then I can show up as the person I want to be. Number 5. We talked about what you have created for yourself by dealing with this difficult person with intention and being deliberate with who you want to be. You've created strength, growth, possibly more connection. And you get to be that person. You're living into that person that you want to be. Which sounds awesome. Number 6, the last one. Be thankful to those difficult people for making you stronger. Now, you did all the work, right? So we're not giving credit to them. You did all the work. But they were there, being quote unquote difficult, for the work to be possible to do. That's the way I like to look at it. You are the one that put in the effort to show up how you want to show up, to be intentional for you. Now, maybe others can benefit from it as well, but it's for you. So you can feel how you want to feel. You can show up how you want to show up. You can align yourself with who you want to be. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this helps if you have any difficult people, quote unquote, right, in your life. And you can apply it and, use any of these tools. If you want to dive into further work with me, I have an amazing relationship program, and it's 3 months long. And after those 3 months, you'll have all the tools. You can deal with any situation that you encounter with intention. You can take control. It's packed full of lots of goodies. So if you're interested, sign up for a free session with me, and we can get started. We can sign you up if there are slots available. I do have a limited number of spots, so if you're interested, jump on that. Head on over to WhitneyWellsCoaching.com, schedule a free session with me, or you can email me at Whitney@WhitneyWellsCoaching.com, and I can answer any questions you may have. All right, if you like this episode, feel free to share, rate it, pass it along to friends and family. Give me any feedback you would like. All right, see you next week. Have an awesome week. Talk to you later. Bye. Do you want to explore these topics further? Are you ready to live the life that you want to live on purpose while controlling what you have control over? I would love to be your life coach. If you're interested, simply head over to WhitneyWellsCoaching.com and book an appointment with me today. I can't wait to work with you.